The end of spring ball also means the end of the transfer portal window. But it also means recruiting season is now upon us. And the trail, it's getting hot.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you very much for stopping by to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms as well as YouTube, and you can find me on Twitter at AllDayOState. So when I say the recruiting trail's obviously getting kind of hot, I'm talking about in reference to last season. Last season, it was very well known that our recruiting wasn't going so hot. Now, you could break down a multitude of reasons why that potentially could be, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We know that we landed a very good transfer class. We also know that the exorbitant amount of quote-unquote starters that we lost, it's not that, right? It's a little misleading. For instance, somebody like a Trace Ford, he rotated with Colin Oliver. So even though he does have a lot of talent, if he can get on the field, he wasn't exactly a starter. So there's a few of those. Now, granted, we know Spencer Sanders and a few other of those positions are going to hurt. One of those positions we're not going to hurt at this season whatsoever is running back. Yeah, I guess you could say we don't necessarily know what we have. That's fair. But to me, we definitely know what we have. Heck, we knew what we had last season in Jaden Nixon and Ollie Gordon. And I think that anybody that would say those two individuals should not have got the bulk of the carries throughout the course of the season is probably not being 100% transparent with themselves, because Dominic Richardson was a serviceable running back. And he was a good ambassador for Oklahoma State University, right? He put in his time. Everybody wanted him to have a massive amount of success, including Mike Gundy, which is why he got the nod, right? Mike Gundy does prefer veteran leadership over youth. And Ollie Gordon did, in fact, fumble a few games into the season, and that took him out of the fold for some of the carries there for a while. Okay, fine. But again, Jaden Nixon, in my opinion, should have been the guy from game 3 on. And then you sprinkle in Dom when necessary, and then you sprinkle in Ollie Gordon so he could continue to progress. You saw what Ollie Gordon did against West Virginia. That we do, in fact, believe is going to be the Ollie Gordon we see moving forward. And if spring is any indicator, that is a fact. But the best part about spring in the running back position is the fact that Elijah Collins has burst onto the scene. Y'all know that Jaden Nixon was my MVP for the running back position this spring, but it was like milliseconds off from being Elijah Collins. I don't want to get too hung up. Maybe I'm getting love punch drunk on the Jalen Warren scenario. Because let's face it, historically at Oklahoma State, running back has not been a big position of concern. If you want to go back to the David Thompson days in the mid-90s, cool. You can even go back to Dumtrail Savage. He was pretty daggone good. You saw what Kendall Hunter was able to do, especially in the NFL as well, right? He carved out a little bit of a career for himself. Keith Toston, a lot of people remember what he was able to do at Oklahoma State University. And then most recently, you have guys like Justice Hill and Chuba Hubbard, obviously Jalen Warren, that are continuing to carry that mantle forward. The mantle of the predecessors like the Barry Sanders of the world, like the Thurman Thomas of the world. And it appears to me as we have that, because when you have a Thunder and Lightning, when you have a Kendall Hunter and a Keith Toston type in the backfield, that simultaneously is going to prove to be beneficial, especially when you're going to an old school ground and pound style of attack. You got to have, well, you don't have to, okay, but it's very beneficial when you have a thunder and lightning package. This is not new. Even if you go back to Auburn, I remember when they had Cadillac Williams, right? They and Ronell, they had these packages figured out where no matter what you did defensively, it was going to be a problem out of the backfield. And that's hard to contend with for 4 quarters at any position. This is why depth is so important. The more you're able to rotate with quality guys, obviously, the more difficult it becomes on the other team. When you're playing a team that doesn't have the same depth that you do on the depth chart, then usually you're able to pull away later in the game. Right? There's thousands and thousands of times where a first half of a game is very unexpected, right? You see very close scores against teams you don't really expect to be ultra competitive. And then by the end of the game, it is what it is. And that's because of depth. This year, we have some depth at running back. We had depth at running back last season as well, but we didn't utilize it right. This is a different animal. We were running a zone blocking scheme last year, so we're trying to put a square peg in a round hole with Dom. This is not even that running style. So what we have in Ollie Gordon, DeAndre Jackson, power, absolutely. Now what do we have in the Thunder department? We have both Jay Nixon and Elijah Collins. DeAndre Jackson said it himself. This very well could be the deepest running back room in the country when it's all said and done. Could be. Very well could be. Because you guys already know, I think averaging over 4.5 yards a carry, it's not a gimme. It is a must, but I think we're going to be able to get it done with multiple guys. See, that's the beauty of it. So where do they fit on the depth chart, right? Because who graduates? Who's going to potentially jump off to the NFL? I know you cannot sit here and speculate who's going to transfer. That would be preposterous to even attempt to do so. But as the season goes, right, you can typically see the writing on the wall. So you need to be loaded at that position, especially because it's a position of not only need, but it's a position where you get banged around quite a bit. So injuries are unfortunately pretty prevalent. Just like you should probably have some Built Bar prevalent in your life, because not only does it taste really good, you guys already knew that, but the fact that it's insanely good for you is what kills me every single time. If you're looking for the most delicious snack out there, but you don't want all the sugar, all the calories, all of that stuff that comes with it, you got to try Built Bar, the Built Puff. Everything that they have rocking and rolling right now, regardless of the flavoring, it's epic. And you got to have it on the go for yourself, right? And if you're anything like me, every now and again, whenever you're traveling, you want to be able to at least sales pitch yourself on the healthier snacks because, long trips with baseball boys can get pretty monotonous. But this thing actually helps them. It prepares them better physically for the trip. Is it going to do an exorbitant amount for their baseball abilities? Who knows? But at least we know that they're ready to get out there and get after it, because Built Bar is covered in 100% real chocolate. The taste is crazy. We already mentioned the flavors. Mine is cookies and cream, right? But you need to go to Walmart today to get yourself hooked up with a box of Built Bars. You can go to Walmart and get yourself a 4-bar box, or if bulk is more your style, you can run to Sam's Club and get yourself a 13-bar box as well. Again, make sure you're hitting all the flavors, because if you're not into the cookies and cream, maybe the churro, maybe the peanut butter brownie, oh my Lanta, maybe that's more your style, or maybe the double chocolate, maybe the coconut puff. The point is you get to try a lot of them. So go do yourself a favor today, run to Walmart, run to Sam's Club, get yourself hooked up on some Built Bar. So what you have coming back next season, we believe, obviously, Ollie Gordon. We believe, obviously, Jaden Nixon. But Elijah Collins, no matter what he does this season, most likely is gone, unless it's some crazy freak injury type of situation which you'd never wish on anybody. Unless that were to take place, we know he's gone. So even though we have some guys, I think Dante Buckner is a little underrated. And I don't think I'm just saying that because his brother is on the team as well. But what he offers in practice seems to be applicable to what we're looking for, which is, again, another way of saying we have more depth this year than last year. So, DeAndre Jackson, I think, he potentially has another COVID year as well. And then you've got a couple years with Jaden. You've got a few years potentially with Ollie. Why is the running back position, in my opinion, the strongest in what we're doing from a recruiting perspective? It's because it's setting us up for future success. And I'm a big fan of Rodney Fields, right? Rodney Fields is an Okie at Oklahoma City, 5'9", 170 pounds, speedster, and we like our comps here. And if I'm going to do a comp, we just mentioned one of them in the NFL right now. This is a Justice Hill type of mold for me. And being an Okie, it's a very, very, very big get for him to be here. And he's already done the campus thing. He's already built a very good relationship with not only Casey Dunn, but Coach Wozniak as well. He's already built a good relationship with the dudes that we currently have on the roster, as much as physically possible without being in the locker room on a daily basis. But he's been here on an unofficial basis for visits multiple times. And you got to have the lightning with the thunder. Again, I keep saying gotta. You ain't got to have it, right? But if this is the style of offense that you're going to run, right, you could do a lot by having the different packages. Because with having the traditional tight end and with having your traditional fullbacks that can also do a cowboy back kind of hybrid position, it's going to allow your guy in the backfield to sneak out on wheel routes. But they still have to respect the power game. Not to mention when you have guys like Ollie Gordon who can do a little bit of both. Yeah, he's a massive individual. Yeah, he's going to give you problems because he's going to run through you like a Mack truck. But we know he's got a little wiggle. We know he's bulked up quite a bit. The weight room has been very, very good to him. Body by Glass has been treating him remarkably well. And I do think Dante Buckner could carve out a role at some point in time on this squad. But to me, what we have potentially coming, I don't know. I've been this excited about a running back in a while. Now, I was insanely excited about Herschel Sims. And this might be that level, honestly. Makaya Kapana out of Bishop Gorman. Bishop Gorman is one of the most legendary football juggernauts in the high school realm ever. And they don't just play like your traditional high school schedule, right? They don't go play around the region. They travel all over the country all of the time. So nobody can say that the level of competition doesn't matter. Just like Eric Daly Jr., the big time get we got for basketball. Yes, he's going to be a freshman, but not only did he go to high school at IMG Academy, but he also went to the IMG Preparatory Academy for an additional year as well, playing against guys that were either going to be big time in college basketball or guys that were legitimately already planning for their professional careers. So should he be more prepared than most of the other high school freshmen out there? Well, absolutely. Right? When you go from high school to college, the expectations used to be very simplistic. Now it's not so much. And when you have the capabilities that I think we're going to have this year at the running back position, and we put up the yards that I think we're going to put up, I think we rush for over 2,500 yards. And again, the 4.5 yards a clip should be pretty easy to get to if we are right. If we're right about what we're seeing in spring, and it is in fact able to correlate onto the field, then we're not only fine, we're actually in a very, very, very good spot moving forward. If we can get Micah Kapana, talk about sleeping good at night. And again, to stick with this theme here, he does a little bit of both. At 5'11", 195 pounds, and he's got some wiggle to him now. That's a problem. At that size, there's a reason that he is as highly recruited as he is. So he is going to be very, very difficult to get. But we've got that connection. Thank you. Again, we say this over and over. Coach Tonga is just all over the Polynesian descent for us. And he is here again, getting this guy to campus, but not only that, but loving every minute of it. You already know he can rush for over 1,000 yards because he just did it. You already know he's a potentially 20-plus touchdown type of dude because he's already kind of fitting that mold, again, against the top dudes you could physically possibly play against. And, I think Decatur running back Nate Plummer could be another lightning style of package guy as well. But to stick with the Thunder side of things, I think Carl Albert, another Okie, Xavier Robinson, could fit that mold at 6'2", 225 with some speed, with some wiggle. Reminds me a lot of Ollie Gordon. Xavier Robinson, to me, does a lot of the same things Ollie Gordon can do. And if you know you're losing Elijah Collins after the season, just because of eligibility purposes alone, then getting somebody like a Micah Kapana, like legitimately, puts you in a whole different conversation. Because Rodney Fields is already in the fold here. So if we can get somebody else to potentially replace the Thunder side of things, I don't think Ollie's going anywhere. But just like you can steal somebody from the transfer portal market and immediately mask a deficiency you have, like we did with Jalen Warren, like I think it looks like we're doing right now with Elijah Collins. It's going to be a little bit more of a committee approach in the backfield. I get that. But that's not because of a necessity. It's because of talent. When you have enough guys that good, you got to find a way to get your best players the ball. Because if you can get your best players the ball in open space, ta-da, that's exactly how you equal the best production physically possible. And I'm not completely overlooking some of the difficulties we might have at offensive line next season because we're fairly veteran-laden this season. Maybe not always necessarily by snaps, but okay, Cole Birmingham, for example, coming back from a devastating injury, rehabbed very, very well, looks to be better than ever at this particular time. You can't really count that. So with the commitment of Caleb Hackelman, it's a good specimen to work with. Offensive linemen are designed to be road graders in the Charlie Dickey system. So if you're 6'6", 270, 280 pounds, you're probably going to do fine. Not to mention, body by glass, once again, you're going to get as close as physically possible to that 300-pound mark while maintaining your athleticism. So is it a little bit of a project? Yeah, possibly. But does anybody trust another strength and conditioning coach out there to get somebody ready? And again, if this offense works out the way I think it's going to work out, this road grader mentality, it's going to be able to be continued over and over and over again, which is what Coach Dickey needs. This is his cup of taters. And I don't think we have to worry about any decommitment or anything like that, right? Because he comes with his teammate, Jalen Boardley. Jalen Boardley's running back film, to me, is pretty daggone impressive. I do know him playing linebacker at Oklahoma State is the plan. And again, I'm excited for it. Sign me up. But, ladies and gentlemen, if we could get Ory Williams from San Marcos, Texas, that's borderline Taj Mahal here. That is borderline, to me, Kapana level. Because everybody in the country wants this dude. You can't teach 6'8", 310. You can't teach that first step to be natural and fluid like that. You cannot teach the hand placement, right? And the ability to manipulate the defensive lineman. The ability to not only manipulate his eyes, but his hips as well, get him off his center mass. The dude is a certified beast. And most people want to pretend that, he's too big of a recruit for Oklahoma State. But he said his trip went phenomenal. Does that mean we're a front runner? No, it doesn't. But it does mean that we're legitimately in the conversation here. And to me, this would be Christmas come early. To me, this would be the Taj Mahal of Coach Charlie Dickey's recruiting thus far, period. Not even just at Oklahoma State. And you're saying we got a chance, right? It's a possibility here. And the best thing about all of this to me is we talked about earlier how last season we were driving, right? We were the unquestioned leader of the official struggle bus in the recruiting department. And we know we had a few things to get cleaned up. And it appears as though, again, we have, because our recruiting class currently, according to 247, is around number 27 in the country. And that's both composite and overall, right? I think Josh Ford is going to be a steal here. I really, really do. Just like Jacoby Sanders might be a steal, right? Still our high school guys. But sign me up. If you can give me Williams and Kapana at running back and offensive line, that immediately puts us in the top 20, top 17, top 15, possibly. I know it's a numbers game at the end of the day, but everybody's still kind of fairly early on into this recruiting cycle. And everybody is now hitting the trail very, very hard against each other, right? The battles now begin. But if you notice, we're not just shopping really close to home. We've got a multitude of positions where we're traveling all over the country for. And once again, Mike Gundy's not big on wasting a ton of money. You have heard some of the financials coming about Oklahoma State recruiting. It's not accurate. But nonetheless, even if you raise it to what the top seems to be, which is typically around $750,000, as opposed to $430,000 or whatever the publication was, it still pales in comparison to most of everybody's recruiting budgets. We're not very wasteful. So I don't see us flying from sea to shining sea over and over again if we didn't think that we had legitimate opportunities here. It's all contingent upon how the season goes, of course, right? You got to ride the wave of momentum. But if you just saw, we're going to have some opportunities to make some money on the pessimistic view of Oklahoma State football this year. Bet the over, bet the over, bet the over. All right, y'all. That's all we got for this one. As always, I love you all. God bless. Go Pokes. Until next one. Later.